Gentlemen, covering nuts today, wanting you to grow your nuts to the size where they change your life. So nuts are non-negotiable, unalterable terms. Today we're going to cover relationships is the nut. The virtues are polite and right. Very, very important that you understand this. So if one of my central core values is relationships, then the way that fleshes out into my life is that I'm nice, I'm polite, and I also know how to choose the right relationships at the right time with the right people so that the right things happen in my life. So let's cover polite first. Polite is the gracious regard for other people's feelings. If you can just think about it that way for just a second, and now analyze your own life. If that's the definition, and it is, am I truly polite? Do I have gracious regard for other people's feelings, other people's emotional state, where other people are on the journey, or do I constantly struggle with my expectations of how I think people should react and respond to everything else? Because you never know what's going on behind the scenes in somebody's life, or what their upbringing was or it was not, what they struggle with and what's currently going on. So in order for me to be polite everywhere that I go, I can't go into an environment with a judgmental attitude or grading people to a level that I don't even grade myself. So polite is a gracious regard for other people's feelings. So polite looks like this. If you're married, truly, you should be super, super polite to the person that should be your best friend in your life, and that's your wife. What does that mean? You should open doors for her. Anytime she's with you, her beautiful hands should never touch a door, much less pull on it to open it. So that means she sits in the car till you come around. If you're walking to the mall, you get there to the door before her, you open the door. And if I could say this, you don't fart and burp in front of her. Okay, may be funny with you and the guys because those sounds are sometimes humorous, but I assure you, your wife does not think that's funny. She may act like it in order to move in your direction to some degree. I promise you, she would appreciate you if you just got up, excused yourself from the living room or wherever you're at, went into another room or the bathroom. Depends on how loud that is when you do that, where you have to go. And do that somewhere else, but be polite. Be polite to your daughters. Treat your daughters the same way you would treat your wife because you're training her to know what to look for in a guy. Be polite to the men you do life with. There's no need for us to be rude to one another, have jokes at each other's expense. I know that happens in the locker room. I know that happens in the boardroom. But the truth is, when you do that, you're displaying more insecurity than you are politeness. And that may sound harsh to some degree, but it's 100% true. So learn to be polite. It costs you no money to be nice. But it costs you a lot to be a butthole. Like, it's just true. Like, it's ruining your life because you're choosing to be a butthole. And you would get a lot further if you learn to be polite. And if you centrally value relationships, then you're going to be nice to people. The second part of that, though, is right relationships. So I value relationships. I'm polite to people, but I have the wisdom to choose the right ones. Here's something you need to understand as a guy. Probably you have enough wisdom and enough experience to help anybody, but here's what you need to know. You can't help everybody. Everybody doesn't want to be helped. Everybody doesn't want to grow. Everybody doesn't want what you have, even though you cannot fathom that because you're growing and becoming the best version of you. Your assumption is that everybody wants the journey you're choosing. That's just not true. So what you have to do is you have to choose the right people at the right times in the right places in order to make the right things happen in your life. It does not mean that you cannot befriend somebody who's not as far along on the journey. You absolutely should. That's called legacy thinking. All the experience I have, I'm pouring into somebody else. But you can't hang around them all the time. You need to have somebody that's further along than you, that pours into you. And your friends need to have certain things in common. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to challenge you to go to chapter 4 of my book, Becoming Man, and read the 4 things that you need to have in common to know and choose a friend. 4 things, minimum of 4 things. And if you do not have these 4 things in common with somebody, they're at best an associate. you kind of do life together, but you're not friends. Social media has wounded us to be able to find friends. You think you have 2,000 friends on Facebook. You don't. You have 2,000 connections on a social media platform. At best in your lifetime, you'll have somewhere between 3 to 5 people that are really your tight-knit group that I do life with, and we move in the same direction. So 4 things. Go to chapter 4 of my book, Becoming Man. Read those 4 things and define the relationships that you're in, because that's one of your nuts. Non-negotiable unalterable terms. Relationships. So I'm choosing to be polite, having deeper, gracious regard for other people's feelings, and now I'm going to learn to choose the right ones, choose the right people at the right time in the right places to make the right things happen in your life. Now go and grow your nuts, gentlemen.